I'm so excited to chat with you, Kevin, because you have this beautiful series, Miss Austen, coming out. Did you know your wife was going to be in it? Was this something the two of you talked about going into it that the two of you would be working together, or did it happen in your lap?
No, the woman who directed it is a great friend of ours, and she asked us to do it together, and we have worked together a few times. So we thought it would be nice to do, uh, and just to do something about Jane Austen would be lovely, and indeed it was, and I'm very pleased at the reaction that people have had from this.
Well, I think it's a special series because it's a unique look at the Austens. It's about sisterhood more than it is, I think, about anything. It's sisterhood and
Yes.
a little bit of love, and mostly it's familial bonds. Is that what drew you and your wife to this as well, not just the friendly ask?
Well, yes. The thing that interested me is that I didn't know a lot about Jane Austen, apart from the fact how famous she is. And I was as fascinated with the series and the director about this mystery of why Jane's sister destroyed so much of her correspondence. Was it for a bad reason? Was it for a good reason? And we just wanted to be part of finding out the sort of the reason for that historical mystery. And I think they did a very good job in showing it, with the present with Keeley Hawes, and then going back to the past to see what their relationship was like and why it could have possibly happened. As with any drama, we don't know if what we're saying is true, but it's certainly, as we work together, it's our analysis of why it might have happened.
Well, I think it's a wonderful look, and it's a sweet look into this family that clearly there's so much love between these sisters,
Oh
to
yeah,
to a point under the speculation. Um, but
which I think is why, because they plainly were um, such loving sisters, why something like that would happen. And so it was a very interesting investigation into that.
yeah, I think it's a sweet look in the letters, and then she kisses them and then sends them off to their fate because
Yeah,
she really gets more insight into, or she finally gets more insight into the troubled relationship that sort of broke them apart for all that time. And it's a
yeah.
well historical, I think, possibility.
Yeah, and I think you talk about this the sisterly love, but I think it's also interesting, and this was our engagement as the parents that the immense pressure on women not to be independent but to be married or hooked up with a guy, that seems to be at the core of it, and it was that was a very interesting thing to speculate upon. It's something that women nowadays would think: could I live under that strain? Could I live that I have that my going to marry this guy? I don't even know that guy. I don't even love that guy. But that was the sort of um, sexually political thing that
Fall
I
in love, and
was.
you never know if you'll even be allowed to marry this
No,
based
well,
on
exactly, yeah,
family standings.
mm, absolutely, and I think that's part of the core of it. I was glad that it didn't come out to be jealousy in any way. And of course, the sisters' um, commitment to the guy that she did love, and her reasons for not ever marrying again for whatever reason, is a very interesting indication of the pressure upon women at that time.
Certainly, the costumes are extraordinary. What was it like for you to step back in time for Mr. Austen?
Well, I loved it. I do love a bit of costume. I do think that I'm glad I was born in this era where I can just dress like a tramp and go out and have fun. But the just the amount of scarves and collars and hooks and jackets and particularly when we go to the beach in the series, it's like, did they not hear of swimming trunks or shorts or
Back
bikinis?
then,
No, they did not.
you showed an
They
ankle
must
and
have
you were
been
in
so hot,
trouble.
huh?
You showed an ankle and you were,
Exactly. But that's not just back then. I'm always amazed. And I live in America a lot, and I know it well. I'm always amazed when I see pictures of 1940s California, when weather's like, and the men are all wearing suits. It's like I couldn't wear a suit in August in California. So it's quite a recent thing, the way people before people were allowed to relax clothing wise.
since you were in such a familial set, was it easy then for you to shake off a long day of deep, intense conversations, or, maybe it was easy for you to slip out of character because you had a wife on set, but also, you know, these sweet girls that you were working with, these beautifully talented actresses, I should
Oh,
say.
they're wonderful. Yeah. Well, I'm not a method actor, and I concentrate on the scenes, but one of the most important ways of getting to know, particularly these two, as you say, lovely and talented young actresses, was having fun between the scenes. We would step out of character, and that was more important because we got to know each other, and in getting to know each other, the acting bond of being a family became closer, and we were very good friends by the end. We had a laugh, I have to tell you. We were very those two girls are so funny. I tried to introduce them to some of my 70s humor, which they found quite difficult at times. But it did bond us in a great way, and we came away sort of loving them both, really.
Certainly. I mean, Rose Leslie is an iconic British actress and
Yes.
outstanding talent. Um, You touched on the beach scenes for you. Were those maybe some of your favorites to film or ones that you're most proud of the work that you put into because of its family setting?
Yes. No, it was. I just loved the fact that those location people finding these beautiful old houses and making them look like they would have looked nearly 200 years ago is also a joy. And that moment when you walk in decorated 19th century room with a load of guys and girls all in their costumes, it sort of does the work for you, really.
Or
Mm.
it's a beautiful set, certainly, and the scenery, you guys, as you said, they found wonderful houses to film in and
Yeah.
beautiful cinematography to this series. I think that's also what's going to make this such a fast fan favorite show is because it's not just a look at the Austins, but it's a look back in time that we don't often get on our screens. And I think
Well,
they do that.
yes, that's true. You know, particularly as well, Phyllis, of course, is in Downton Abbey, and we have Bridgerton and all those things, and so we go back like 100 or so years. But to go back further is to really get an idea of where we come from as people. There, I do say it tends to be quite well off people that we look at, and it would be interesting to see perhaps something else that for the people who were just had nothing at the time, but it might just be a bit bleak. Um, I love them because I love the effort of every department to try to get it right. One small worry I have is that we tend to only know the way they spoke through literature.
Mm.
And I think sometimes I worry in these dramas that we speak like literature. And I'm sure that, so we will say, I will not see him. And I think that we condensed back then in the way that we do now. And I'd like
Hmm,
sometimes to hear them more talking more naturally rather than with a sort of a heightened sense of period dialogue.
perfection.
Um, yeah, exactly. I mean, you only have to look at Shakespeare to see that he condensed. He didn't speak in a high, or rather, his characters don't speak in a high literary tone. And I know if I do another one of those, I'd really like to look into that and maybe look at the dialogue and go, why can't they just talk like we talk now? Not with not about the same things, but say I'll see you later. I mean, why won't they do that? So
Yeah, I definitely don't think those of wealth spoke perfectly, um,
I don't think so.
uh, throughout. But I understand that people try to make history where it's, like they're wealthy individuals, so they would speak so eloquently without any kind of exception to,
Yeah. It's the author, it's Jane, who is eloquent as a writer, not necessarily as a talker. But I mean, I think even the wealthy probably they weren't as eloquent as sometimes we portray them as being. Just look at our wealthy now; they're not very eloquent people either. So I'd like to look at that personally as a director, perhaps. Yeah.
what is next for you? Have you been busy working on some other projects recently?
Yeah, yeah. No, I did a lot of stuff last year after we did that, and then I did a project at the beginning of the year. Um, I'm doing a lot of um, I'm doing a lot of short films this year, and I'm doing a lot of uh, low budget movies. I like working with young filmmakers at the moment because I teach as well. So I'm doing a couple of movies with a couple of young filmmakers, which will be very nice. But I'm also trying to take a bit of time off two long term projects. I've directed about 11 short films, uh, both on my own and with my students. And I really would like to direct like either TV series, a TV movie, or a movie. So I'm working on a couple of projects, but that's very time consuming, very hard to get
Sure.
off the ground. But fortunately, when I run short, I'll just go and do another show, and then I'll get back in the and try to work on these projects. Yeah.
Do you have a series in mind that you would love to direct someday?
Yeah, I have a wonderful comedy series that somebody's come up with. I have comic TV film, and my particular favorite genre is sci-fi. So I have a guy who's written a script, sort of a post-apocalyptic script that I really, really want to get off the ground. I've also written a novel, which I'm trying to find a writer that I like who would turn it into a script for me. I'm too close to do that, and that would be a film I would love to make.
All right, well, we'll also see if we can get you on a Doctor Who episode at some point.
Well, I don't think I thought Mr. Jericho might come back, but I think we'll see how it goes.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of your work, Kevin? You've been doing this for so long. You have such special body of work that so many people, I'm sure, reach out to you about this thing or that thing. It's maybe not often the same things all the time, too.
No, well, I would say to them first of all, thank you, thank you for your continued support and love and appreciation of the work. I do a lot of Comic Con conventions,
Yeah.
so I'm always amazed. I go there and there's obviously Pirates of the Caribbean and there's Doctor Who, Supernatural. I never knew it was so popular when I did it. But more and more, particularly in the States, people come up to me and they say, "Oh, Midsummer Murders Beyond Paradise, cozy crime, as you call it over there." It's very popular on things like BritBox and things like that. So I find more and more um, people are discovering more and more of the old work. And that's very gratifying when you get to my age, that people are going back and having a look at stuff.